My mother was born in Haljala, and she was born in 1915. She experienced when the Russians came in the first time, and remembers in her mind it was horrible. She remembers people being taken away. She remembers that, as she sometimes would say, before we had everything and then we had nothing. Pretty quickly, when she understood that the Russians were coming back, that she was not going to stay. It was very traumatic for her because she would be leaving her, especially the youngest sister and brother behind, and her youngest brother had been like in the Scouts and had actually been shot through the knee, and so had a limp. And she would have taken, she always says, she would have taken her youngest brother with her because they were very close, and she was like a second kind of a mother to him. But because he had that limp, and she wasn't sure that he could really make the trip. But my mother herself, sometimes I think, I don't know exactly what motivated her to decide to leave when none of her siblings did. She made the decision to leave, and at that, she was actually married to her first husband at that point. And he was able to, he was a soldier in the German army, and he was able to get her onto a boat that was leaving for Germany. Mm-hmm. And so she left, as she says, almost kind of the last minute. She left very close to the end of World War II, when the Russians were returning to. So she, when she left Estonia, she was pregnant, and she gave birth in Germany. He, as a young baby in Germany, he had like a meningitis that my mother believes was a result of a smallpox vaccination. Mm-hmm. That he was given a smallpox vaccination and reacted had an extreme reaction to it. Mm-hmm. And had like a brain inflammation, and after that he was not normal. Mm-hmm. And my mother kept him with her for a period of years when he was little, but when my sister was little, and maybe by the time my mother was pregnant with me, she was worried about being able to take care of him and to take care of my sister and me. Mm-hmm. And so he was in a hospital and later like a group home. Mm-hmm. So he stayed in Germany. Mm-hmm. And because his father had been in the German army, mm-hmm. the German government covered his care. Mm-hmm. And so my mother, it was, it's funny because I think about the things she left behind. She left behind her little brother when she left Estonia, and then when she left Germany, she left her son. Mm-hmm. Some of what she remembers very clearly is how poorly the Germans treated the Poles. Mm-hmm. and other people. And she said, if I hadn't had believed it before, I believed it now. How terribly people were being treated. My mother remembers that in even where she worked, that they fed employees, and that she was able to eat at a table, and basically Polish people, they ate on the floor, mm-hmm. And that was before the DP camps. Mm-hmm. At some point, my mother said the Estonians always kind of looked to find where each other was, mm-hmm. and so she would, when she came, when she would meet other Estonians, she would ask them, "Where are you going?" You know, and at one point, some Estonians told her, "Go to Jena," and there are a group of us, and we're talking about what to do. And so she went to Jena, and there, in fact, in like a coffee house, there were other Estonians. And at that point, the discussion was, we need to get to where we think, and I don't know if it had stabilized yet, but where the U.S. sector of Germany is likely to be, based on, like, I guess, where the American troops were. Mm-hmm. And so the conversation was, it's best for us if we get to the U.S. sector. Mm-hmm. Her first husband was in the Army and had gone back into, he had been on leave at various points in time, but he eventually was missing in action. Mm-hmm. And my mother believed him to be dead. Mm-hmm. So she had a baby, no husband, and was headed for where she believed the Estonians were headed, mm-hmm. which was the U.S. sector of Germany. Mm-hmm. And my mother pretty quickly got a job as kind of an administrator, where she would, like, when new people would come, she would show them, you know, do you like this room? That's where she met my father. And he came looking for a room. My mother showed him a room, and they kind of clicked, you know. And my father had lost his first wife also, and also believed his first wife was dead. Mm-hmm. And the kind of odd thing is that neither of their first spouses had really died. My mother's had been first spouse had been taken to Siberia, and eventually, years later, returned to Estonia. But my mother never had any further contact with him. And my father's first spouse appears on lists of people taken to where there are lists available that show, as far as we know, what people were deported, mm-hmm. and where they might have ended up. Mm-hmm. And my father's first wife appears on one of those lists that we've been able to find. But we don't know what happened to her. People started to leave Germany. A smaller and smaller group was left in the DP camps, mm-hmm. and my family had kind of trouble initially being able to leave. My father had tuberculosis, so he couldn't get approval to come to the United States, where my mother was set on coming. And but anyway, they ended up in the Memmingen DP camp, which is a smaller DP camp. And my sister was born there in 1951. Mm-hmm. And then by the time I was born in 1953, the camp had been decommissioned, mm-hmm. and my family was living in an apartment. My father was a lawyer. He graduated from the University of Tartu, mm-hmm. And during the years in Germany, he came into the position of representing the Estonians, mm-hmm. To the German government. Mm-hmm. And so he did that. That was a very engaging position for him. He was hugely an Estonian patriot, mm-hmm. and for him to have meaningful work, mm-hmm. Was really important. Mm-hmm. And I sometimes think, if he had come to the United States, what would he have done? Mm-hmm. You know, what would he have done that would have, as much value, mm-hmm. as what he did continuing in Germany? Mm-hmm. But my mother then immigrated to the United States with my sister and I, mm-hmm. in 1956, mm-hmm. and we initially flew to New York, and stepped off a plane in New York, and then took the train through Chicago to Los Angeles.